Don't chew on that, Max.
Cooper loves that chew too.
Oh, now he's into Cooper's food. Wow, he is loving it. What do you feed Cooper?
Blue Buffalo Life Protection Formula. He never leaves a crumb. I love it because it's made with high-quality protein, nutrient-rich fruits and veggies, and wholesome whole grains.
Looks like we're switching to Blue.
Blue Buffalo foods are made with the superior ingredients your dog needs to thrive. Can your dog food say that? Visit feedbluefood.com to learn more.
Una silla de masajes puede parecer extravagante. 8 configuraciones diferentes, intensidad ajustable, además es calefaccionado. Y se siente tan bien. Sí, una silla de masajes puede parecer extravagante. Y 2, bueno, aún más. Pero cuando esas sillas de masajes vienen con un auto, se vuelven bastante prácticas. El Volkswagen Tiguan con funciones premium como los asientos delanteros con masaje disponibles. Solo parece extravagante.
Unfiltered discussions. Unexpected guests. No topic is off limits, from sex and relationships to the human condition, personal anxieties, and so much more. The only talk show of its kind in the world. This is The Last Show with David Cooper.
Welcome into The Last Show. Pull up a bar stool. We've got a packed lineup tonight, and here are some of the things you'll learn on tonight's show. An AI-enabled teddy bear. Side note, why does a teddy bear have artificial intelligence in it? That I don't know. But an AI teddy bear marketed towards children has been pulled off the market after it gave both racy and dangerous advice to kids. Because who needs guardrails on a toy for kids, right? We'll cover that and some other interesting stories from the tech industry in about 10 minutes' time. Then, what if the secret to getting your brain to age slower isn't diet, isn't exercise, but being more creative? And I'm not talking about just fine arts. It could be something as simple as playing video games. Creative folks have younger brains. We'll teach you about that and how to use creativity to make your brain healthier as you age towards the end of the hour. Those are some of the things we'll cover on tonight's show. There will be more. You will learn more. But for now, let's dive in.
Want to be part of The Last Show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
And in subway, tube, and rail car odors news, we go to the New York City subway system that at a certain station, Christmassy smells are wafting throughout. We are joined by special subway odor correspondent Tony Five in London, England, to discuss a new ad campaign creating a stench in the trains. Tony, was this something you would want in the UK?
Good Lord, my friend. One of my endearing memories of being on a New York subway is the overriding stench of rats, dead bodies, and some form of illegal smoke.
Yes.
I guess you would call it.
Not all illegal smokes are created equally. On the more friendly end, you have cannabis, and on the less friendly end, you have hard drugs smoked out of glass pipes.
Absolutely. So I remember going on subways and it's insane. It's so different to the London Underground, which is, I would say, infinitely cleaner, even though it's, again, very, very disgusting. The London Underground, obviously built in Victorian times, no air conditioning, very closeted, very hot, very loud, but similar to the New York subway, right?
No, New York's way grosser. I grew up on the trains or the subway in Toronto.
Okay.
And I thought it was so gross. And then I moved to San Francisco and I was like, man, the Toronto trains are like the Taj Mahal. Like it is.
You can lick the floor. It's beautiful.
The trains in San Francisco, they are, some of them, the older ones, although I think they're out of the service, but when I lived there, they were carpeted, okay? Some train designer in the 1960s or 70s or 80s thought the world could handle carpet on public transit. They were blue. They were supposed to be blue, but they were like brown army camo of stains, horrific stains.
Could you imagine the bodily fluids on that? Can you imagine doing you know how we talk about people doing the weirdest research subjects? I want someone to do research on what is contained in San Francisco subway carpets.
Just get like a 1-inch square of that carpet and send it to a lab. Anyway, in New York, the company Bath and Body Works, you know, they make like candles and bath products. They are creating a scented ad campaign at the 42nd Street train station in New York.
Okay.
And what I don't get is, okay, they're wafting their perfumes to try to get consumers to buy. But like, if you go to an outhouse or a porta potty and then you just spray a little perfume, that's just a horrible smell with perfume. It's like, it's not a pleasant mix when you do good smell and bad smell. So I don't know what they're thinking.
Anyone who's been to the toilet after me when I've had Mexican food will know when you spray strawberry perfume around it, it just smells like regurgitated Mexican food with a strawberry perfume element.
Oddly specific. Tony, you're just doing a hypothetical, of course. Now, do you want to come to these trains and smell the scents of New York with me while you're here? Because you're coming to visit for Thanksgiving. Then we're going to go to Toronto together at the end of November. Are you excited for the trip?
I am. The question is, will it still be available when I come? Is it going to be there in the next couple of weeks?
I don't know. I was trying to set you up for the misgivings you've been having, Tony. Do you not see the cue that I'm giving you? My goodness.
I do, and I'm looking forward to it. And weirdly enough, it's coming about the anniversary of when I got quite sick last year. So there's obviously this element of, oh my God, like a little bit of apprehension that me and you have spoken about. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to go and smell your station.
Do you have this idea that this trip, because it's the same time, will be some sort of like trigger?
I don't know. It's very difficult to say. I know sensibly and being rational about things, of course, there's no cause for it. You know, they don't relate to one another at all. But then I guess there is some elements, like I don't know whether you can hear, I've got a little bit of a stuffy nose, and a little bit of, it's very, very cold here in the UK. And I'm thinking, like, I want to be in my best condition. I want to be really healthy when I come over. I don't want to feel sick. I've made sure I've got plenty of rest time, you know, when I'm coming over, so I don't push myself too much, because I don't want to kind of, you know, maybe fall sick like I did last year. But then last year, I didn't feel bad before I left. So there was no reason, you know, for me to feel bad now, you know?
You've also got this superstitious thinking, and correct me if I'm wrong here. I'm trying to remember what it is. Somehow, like, if you have a bad New Year's and Christmas, that means your whole year is going to be bad. And if you have a good New Year's and Christmas, your whole year is going to be good. And I worry about you with these superstitions. You start to look for patterns of why you've fallen into a depression and try to work yourself up to say, well, I've seen these patterns in the past. Side note, they may not even be patterns. It's just a coincidence. But you've seen it in the past, therefore it's going to happen again. And then you start to worry. And that's where I worry about you, when you get into this cycle of worry.
Weirdly, speaking to a therapist, they said that it's kind of like an ADHD trait sometimes, where people maybe look for patterns that aren't there, or maybe think about things and try to pathologize things that are not worth pathologizing.
Oh, like a little OCD or something like that.
Yeah, like an OCD thing, which I never really considered. But I used to kind of think, well, actually, so this sort of season, I like the winter. So coming out of summer, I look forward to our fireworks night in the UK, which is around November, and then Thanksgiving with you, and then coming back, and then it's obviously Christmas, then my birthday, then the New Year, so on. And then in my mind, I think, well, if I have a good events on those, or good memories with those things, it sets me up for a good new year. Even though if I was to sit and talk to you about every year in my 47 years of life, there probably isn't any pattern at all. But in my mind, I think there is. So for example, I've had a very, very good end of summer. I've been feeling good. I've been working. The show's been great. Well, you know, arguably great. Well, better than normal. Actually,
the show's been the show, but yeah.
The show's been the show. Let's be fair now. Let's not overcomplicate it. I've had a very good fireworks night. I'm looking forward next week to come to Thanksgiving. I'm breaking it up by going to Toronto, which you'd asked me to do, and I was kind of umming and ahhing, but you've kindly invited me and taken me over. And then I'll come back, and then it'll be obviously Christmas here. And I love Christmas in London. I'm going away with my mum around Christmas and then the New Year. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I worry you have this negative impulse to kind of see signs that things will go wrong, because those signs were there in the past. Mm-hmm. And then you get kind of worked up being like, well, I had a bad day today, and 5 years ago I had a bad day on the same day.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to be depressed. And then you start getting fixated on that, ruminating on that.
Ruminating. Yeah, I mean, like, it's like seeing these patterns and saying, well, if this, then this. So, for example, let's just say I come over there and have a really horrific time with you, horrific time in Toronto, and I come back. That shouldn't be a reason for me to have a bad Christmas, right?
You felt like you couldn't pull yourself out of a depression or handle another depression again. You've then had a depressive period. I've known you for, 8, 9, 10 years now? This has happened 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, it has.
Every time you don't think you can pull yourself out of it, every time you're resilient and have the tools to get out of it, despite feeling like you don't, why not fixate on that? Come what may, and I'll have the tools to deal with it, however difficult it'll be.
I think we've spoken before about this, like on a serious level. And when I'm in it, it feels like, and I know. Like you said, it feels like it. As I speak to you now, it's like two sides of a coin, dude.
I know.
I cannot see what I was like then. I can't, like, it's a different person. When you talk about when you've had your issues, I can't imagine you like that. And I've never seen you like that.
Life's too short to think that it could come at any minute. Why not just live like it won't and know that if it does, you'll get through it because you have before?
I could do that. Again, if I let my intrusive thoughts in, I'll probably be held up by the TSA.
Don't judge yourself for having the impulse to think negatively. Just when it happens, don't ruminate on it. Don't give those thoughts the time of day. They'll pop in your head, but you don't need to ruminate. And I love you, and I'm excited to see you, and I wish we had more time to talk about this stuff. But Tony 5, our foreign correspondent, is going to enjoy smelling Christmas smells in the subway train, along with horrible, horrible smells. Tony, thank you.
I will smell the subway, my friend. Bye-bye.
Coming up, the AI teddy bear for kids that went haywire and was recalled. I'm David Cooper. This is The Last Show.
So good, so good, so good.
New markdowns are on at your Nordstrom Rack store. Save even more, up to 70% on dresses, tops, boots, and handbags to give and get.
Because I always find something amazing.
Just so many good brands. I get an extra 5% off with my Nordstrom credit card. Total queen treatment.
Join the Nordy Club at Nordstrom Rack to unlock our best deals. Big gifts, big perks. That's why you rack.
Broadcasting intimate details and useless information from an undisclosed location in New York City. The Last Show with David Cooper.
Are you a bit of a nerd and thinking about what to buy your kid for Christmas this year? Well, an AI-enabled teddy bear might sound like a great idea. But I promise you, it's not. I am here with Carmi Levy, a tech analyst. It's time for Technology Time. We'll go through some of the hottest, funnest tech stories from that industry of the day. Carmi, welcome to the show.
Good to be here. And I'm guessing the most disturbing tech stories, too, because this one easily ranks as the most disturbing thing that I have seen this week so far.
I can't think of anything I would want to put in AI less than a teddy bear, maybe a toaster, although I'm sure there's a company out there making an AI-enabled toaster to make sure that your toast is toasted perfectly.
Yeah, no, I can burn my toast all by myself. I don't need a smart toaster, and I'd rather, hold on to a dumb teddy bear, not a smart one. This one's called the Kuma Bear, Kumma. It comes from a Singapore-based toy company called Folo Toy, and it is what's known, it's an AI-enabled teddy bear, you can talk to it can talk to you. It's basically like a chatbot in teddy bear form, which sounds reasonable. Its price is reasonable too, $99 US.
That's not reasonable for a teddy bear.
$100. Have you seen the price of really good teddy bears lately? That's kind of what they cost for one that's going to see your kid through childhood. Oh, absolutely.
No, I'm not in the market for a teddy bear.
Well, this one uses GPT-4o, OpenAI's large language model, and so that shouldn't be a problem, but apparently the guardrails were not included in this particular model.
Maybe that's an upgrade. You got to pay for it.
I think so, yeah. That's the $200 model. So parents started realizing that it was suggesting inappropriate things, where the child could find knives in the home, or it would trend into sexually explicit themes. It would, on its own, so it's not that the kid introduced sexually explicit themes, is that it was talking about, I don't know, playtime in the park, and then it just veered on its own into sexual territory. It would talk about sexual positions. It would suggest how to do them, which ones are the best ones.
Great.
Absolutely horrifying, without any kind of prompting whatsoever.
I think I know the problem here. The word playtime, when used amongst kids, great, wholesome. The word playtime, when used amongst consenting adults, not so much. Maybe it just confused the context of the word.
Probably that's the case, and I'm guessing. So now these things have been recalled. The company has apologized. They have said that obviously the safeguards that were supposed to be in place were not. They say that they will improve the model and reintroduce it at some point. But in the meantime, OpenAI says it has suspended them because they're a developer, right? They take their software and use it for an application. They've suspended them for violating their policy. So if this thing is going to hit the market again, I'm kind of wondering if maybe it's not going to be using OpenAI's tools anymore. Maybe someone else's because they broke the rules.
So right now, if you had it, and then the connection between that company's teddy bear and backend and software and servers and ChatGPT that's powering it has been severed, basically you've just got a dumb bear for $100 right now with a computer that doesn't run properly in it.
Exactly, and don't ever drop that in the water because you'll probably electrocute yourself. So no, this is, I will not be including this on my list of recommended tech toys for the holiday 2025 season. Suggest we not share this with any of our children.
So AI-enabled teddy bears that can talk to your kids, maybe not ready to go to the market just yet.
Definitely not. And I kind of wonder if they ever will be. I mean, the last thing I ever want to think about is, my kid lying in bed at night, having a conversation with one of these things until, the end of time. We already know the risks that chatbots pose in other form factors. And so why would you introduce this in this form to a child who's probably too young to know better? This is an absolute no-go. Some things are best left dumb, and I think teddy bears are among those.
All right, well, let's go to other smart things that are kind of happening around us, whether they work well or not. We go to Germany, where customers can see a demo of what the future of food preparation might look like. AI meals, robotic kitchens with smart arms and stovetops, and making it all delicious without any human help. And I imagine none of that human touch.
None whatsoever. Sure. So, I mean, many grocery stores have like a kind of a prepared food section where people they'll make a meal for you in the back behind a counter. This essentially replaces that. So if you're one of those employees, you're not going to like this story. And so it comes to us. It is from Dusseldorf, Germany. It's Rewe, R-E-W-E supermarket. They're the largest supermarket chain in the country. And they worked with a company called Circus SE. They're a robotics company. And the model is called the CA1 Series 4. It looks like almost like three large washing machines placed side to side, kind of smashed together. So it's this really big appliance, and you can see inside it because there are windows in front, like a giant oven. And essentially what it does, it picks the ingredients, it will mix them, it will put all the appropriate seasonings on them, it will cook them, it will serve it, it'll plate it, and then deliver it to you. You just stand there and watch this thing happen. And then when it's done, it cleans itself. It's like a giant dishwasher. And they're saying that, it unlike humans, doesn't take breaks, doesn't mess up the order. You order via a touchscreen or a voice interface, and they're prototyping it in 3 of their stores in Germany. And the hope is that if this goes well, these things can produce up to 120 meals an hour. So, I mean, this is neat. If it goes well here, they'll learn from this experience and scale it up, which means that there's some grocery store employees who may very well be looking for a new job soon in Germany.
I'm thinking this is a proving point for a futuristic kitchen in somebody's home with robotic arms that makes food.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think it's obviously they're not even saying how much each of these units cost. So I'm sure they're super expensive. They've got
$50.
Yeah, you wish. So they've got a couple of robotic arms in them. Obviously, huge amounts of software integration. I mean, just the development costs alone, this thing would be significantly expensive, huge capital investment. So not for the home yet, but obviously over time, as the technology becomes more mainstream, as they refine it, those prices will come down. At some point, you could imagine having a scaled down version of this in your kitchen, and it essentially becomes your robotic cook. I think that's a really cool application that a lot of people would really be into. I'm one of them. I can cook, but admittedly not well. I would certainly love to have one of these in my house if it were available. This is the first step toward that.
Would you though? I mean, for me, cooking is like a hobby. But there are nights where I'm like, I couldn't be bothered, and I'm like, oh, I gotta clean and cook.
Yeah. So just give it a prompt and send it off to do what it does. I mean that's the thing. It gives you an option.
I would first get the one at my sink that would clean the dirty dishes for me. Like that one, because to me that's the worst part about cooking. It's the cleaning afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Although, I mean, there are dishwashers. You get one of those. Those exist.
I do have it, but then you got to load it. I would get a robot to load the dishwasher.
I'm guessing this thing, and they don't talk about it, but I'm guessing this thing would still need to be loaded. You'd have to put the ingredients in. I'm sure the cleaning is not ideal. At some point, you still have to maintain it. You probably have to grease the sprockets, or sprockets, as they say.
Oh, in German, yeah, well done.
So I'm guessing like it still isn't, it's still not Rosie the Robot Jetsons-esque, not that ideal, but it kind of moves us in that direction, and I think it's kind of cool. And if it means that I can, cook a meal reasonably well, or pick something up and bring it home and look like a hero, I am in.
Are there any futuristic AI-enabled products you are excited about this holiday season, or are they not quite there yet? They're just thin layers on top of ChatGPT and eh.
Yeah, it seems that everyone is adding AI in. Just like a few years ago when the internet was first a thing, everyone just prefixed everything with an I, or added .com to it because it looked techie. We're seeing a lot of that this year, where like even basic toys, techie type toys, they're saying, oh, it has AI enabled, but it isn't really clear how AI makes that toy better or makes that product better. And in all honesty, it was just fine before. I'm going to pass. I'm not going to pay more for something that is probably going to get it wrong half the time.
So smart new objects that you can buy people as amazing new gifts for this year, probably not quite there yet.
Go dumb, save money, and don't become the next headline.
Go dumb, save money, be smart. Ooh, I like that. That could be your tagline, Carmi. When we come back, we'll talk about NVIDIA, the company that creates the hardware that runs a lot of these AI applications. The company is, I think, the company that's worth the most in the world right now. They beat earning expectations. Is there a looming AI bubble? Should you invest? What's going on? We'll be back with Carmi Levy. Carmi Levy. Carmi, don't leave me. We'll be back with Carmi Levy on It's Time for Technology Time in just a minute.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
This episode is brought to you by White Claw Surge. Nice choice hitting up this podcast. No surprises. You're all about diving into tastes everyone in the room can enjoy, just like White Claw Surge. It's for celebrating those moments when connections have been made and the night's just begun. With bold flavors and 8% alcohol by volume, unleash the night. Unleash White Claw Surge. Please drink responsibly. Hard seltzer with flavors, 8% alcohol by volume. White Claw Seltzer Works, Chicago, Illinois.
We're here because your heightened awareness deserves heightened entertainment. The last show with David Cooper.
Carmi, don't leave me. How English works, nobody know it.
I'm not going anywhere, I promise.
It is time for Technology Time. Carmi Levy is a tech expert. We are talking the tech industry stories of the day. NVIDIA, I mean, like a few years ago, I was like, it can't possibly go up more. I'm not investing in that. I should have invested in it. How can these companies keep growing? I mean, eventually they have to stop, right? Or maybe I'm crazy.
At some point, double-digit growth is not sustainable. I mean, this is a company that grew 62% year over year in this quarter. So, I mean, that is obviously not going to play out forever. At some point, that curve has to flatten out. But the market is betting now, and NVIDIA is projecting into the next quarter that's going to have another blowout quarter, and that the good times aren't yet over, and the reckoning has not yet happened. And so the market was worried in the lead up to NVIDIA's earnings call that, if their results aren't as good as expected, if they fall short of analyst targets, then the risk is because this is such a bellwether company, the entire industry buys NVIDIA's AI chips. And they are the biggest company in the world, the first $5 trillion company. For that reason, they are powering the current AI revolution. And so based on these numbers, it was a blowout quarter. The company's making money hand over fist, growing like we've probably never seen a tech company grow before. It looks like that's going to continue for the next little bit, and worries that there will be a pullback, that the AI bubble would burst, that the market would melt down, have been not eliminated completely. There's still concerns, but at least pushed out a little bit so that, investors can make a little bit more money for at least the next 3 months till we probably go through this again before the next earnings call.
We're in a graphics hardware bubble. That's the main product NVIDIA sells. Graphics hardware, even though it sounds like it should be used to play video games or render 3D images, it can be used to crunch numbers for AI. There's also been a run on like storage devices, RAM devices. All these prices are going up. And what I'm hearing is it's these AI data centers that are gobbling up all this hardware. And then at the end of the day, the consumer pays more because when you're competing with, I don't know, OpenAI that's buying hardware for a data center and Joe Schmo trying to buy a computer for, to watch YouTube videos on, OpenAI is going to buy up all this stuff. So I don't know. Is the AI bubble going to burst? That's the great question.
I think eventually there will be a correction of some sort. Precisely how intense that correction will be.
That's my favorite financial word that exists. Correction.
I love that. It's a good word. That's right. Perfect euphemism, right?
Yeah.
People are going to be jumping into the street. But the reality is that nothing stays hot forever. I mean, we saw this in the 90s with the .com bubble.
And we'll see it in 5 billion years with our sun as well. Yeah.
That's right. And that's, the good times last for a certain window, and then at some point you got to move on. And so I think for now it continues, but at some point all of this investment, the hundreds of billions of dollars that every tech company is throwing into this technology, building out data centers, building out power to keep those data centers up and running. At some point investors are going to go, what's the return on this? Is there a sufficient return to justify all of that? And if the market doesn't have an answer, and right now it doesn't, no one really knows, what does AI do truly well that other technologies don't? We still don't have that kind of killer app for AI. We think we do, but we're not quite there. And so there's a lot of uncertainty.
I mean, the chatbots are pretty good, but it seems like that's it.
Chatbots are pretty good, but again, they're not revolutionizing the way we live. And in many cases, they introduce more problems than they solve. And so it's not like the PC revolution that, took manual office processes and completely automated them. You could see that. You could understand the benefit. You could talk to what that killer app was. When, Lotus 123 was introduced, that was a killer app. Everyone understood how that changed the game. We haven't had that game-changing moment with AI yet. We have had a lot of little eye-opening moments, but nothing game-changing to justify the kind of dollar figures we're seeing thrown around.
Let's go to Jeff Bezos' new startup called Prometheus. Cool product, I guess. I mean, nothing's released yet, but it's an interesting use of AI, but it's just in its infancy, and it's going to be used for like real-world engineering projects, as I understand it.
Yeah, so Jeff Bezos, of course, he stepped down as CEO a few years back, and he hasn't been the CEO of anything since then. He, of course, co-founded Blue Origin, the rocket company, but he's not the CEO of that company. So Project Prometheus has $6.2 billion in funding, most of which comes from Jeff Bezos. And essentially, it's an AI startup, but it's AI, it's not a bot, it's not AI software, it's not an image generator, it's AI for the real world. So it's how do you apply AI to the physical realm, not the virtual one. And so think about a research lab. AI would build a research lab, would run that lab, would learn from the experience, would be able to do scientific research at a massive scale because the software is kind of always learning new ways to do it. A car factory, same thing. Most of the time, up until now, they've all been designed by humans. Whereas if you had AI building that out, it could identify areas of inefficiency and it could address them and learn in real time and apply those learnings and make it the most efficient car factory in the world. So you got to have a technology that makes that kind of real world AI possible. That's what Project Prometheus is all about. And he's hired about 100 people so far, and he's basically poaching them from Meta, from OpenAI, from Google, their DeepMind. And so he's got the best of AI talent. And the hope is that they will figure this out, bring AI to real world solutions, to real world problems. I think that's kind of a neat thing to watch, especially given who he is. It's Jeff Bezos. Sometimes he doesn't deliver overnight, but give him enough time, he delivers.
All right, I'm excited about it. Let's go on to this last story here, the Epstein files. They're going to be released. The act passed in Congress. The president signed them. But there's an interesting story about how Jeffrey Epstein kind of hijacked the way the internet worked to cover up negative coverage of his crimes. It's kind of a fascinating look at how you can manipulate search engine algorithms when you've done something wrong and there's negative press about it to try to bury it. It's kind of an interesting story, awful crimes being covered up, but an interesting use of SEO or search engine optimization to kind of manipulate what's being reported.
Yeah, I mean, this is a story that, makes me feel the need to take an hour and a half shower after talking about it, but it does shine a light on what search engine optimization is and how individuals and companies manage their brand, manage their reputation in the Google search space. And so we know that Google indexes the internet, and when you punch in a search term or search terms, sometimes things rise to the top and sometimes they don't. Search engine optimization is ensuring that the things that you want to appear on the first page near the top of the list appear, and the stuff that you don't want gets either suppressed, so it's a few pages down, or it doesn't get searched at all. And so obviously with Jeffrey Epstein, this goes back about 15 years. He was noticing, because he had already been a convicted sex offender then, and he was noticing that the articles about his convictions were showing up at the top of search activity, and he didn't want that. So he worked with his colleagues, he worked with brand management specialists to push the pedophilia content down and to highlight his contributions to scientific research, his philanthropy, the good things. In the end, it didn't work because
we're talking about it right now.
Exactly. And for example, if the at the time, if the Huffington Post or USA Today would publish an article, very hard to push that down with a few blog entries of your own. And so he realized that even SEO, there are limits to it, which is good because he could not whitewash the internet of all of his crimes. And so I think it shows this is how SEO works, but it's also this is the limit of SEO. And if you're a bad guy thinking that you're going to get away with it and the people won't know what you did, think again. Technology can only go so far.
I always wonder what those crisis management firms do. That's when famous people get accused of wrongdoing or whatever, have some crisis. They hire a firm to help them with their public image. And I guess this is something that they do subtly under the hood. They affect search engine results so that if there's a bad news story about you that you're worried about, if you're a bad person, you can try to get it buried. Doesn't always work, but there are firms out there that have some smart people at them trying to help out folks in situations like this. Kind of an uglier part of capitalism.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, in some cases, negative content is wrongly highlighted, but in this case, it's pretty clear this guy should go down in history as one of the worst human beings ever. He deserves to be at the top of that Google search list.
Carmi Levy, tech analyst. It is time for Technology Time. Is the time he joins us every week, but that time is no longer the time. Carmi, thank you for joining me.
Appreciate it, David. Thanks.
Coming up, the secret to having a younger brain as you age. It's as simple as being more creative. And no, you don't have to be Picasso. Creativity that boosts your brain health could even come from playing video games. Details in just a few moments.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
When the holidays start to feel a bit repetitive, reach for a Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry and put your twist on tradition. A bold cranberry and winter spice flavor fusion, Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry is a refreshing way to shake things up this sipping season. And only for a limited time. Sprite, obey your thirst.
Taste the forbidden fruit of knowledge. The last show with David Cooper.
Creativity might keep your brain younger. From doing the tango to painting to, yes, even playing video games, there is new neuroscience that shows that creative play may slow biological brain aging. Let's dive into how these activities might reshape your mind and why it matters. I'm here with researcher at BrainLat in Santiago, Chile, and the Trinity Institute of Neurosciences in Ireland, Carlos Coronel. Carlos, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction. And also, I'm excited to talk about my work with you. It's probably one of the most beautiful works in the Institute because, it's about arts, creativity, and also video games and brain health.
Let's dive in. For those who have never heard of a brain clock, what are we measuring and what are we talking about when we say brain clock?
That's just artificial intelligence. So our models, mathematical models, are black boxes that you can use to just measure what is the age of your brain. So you can say, imagine that I'm, let's say, 60 years old, but the age of my brain is 80 or 85. I have a brain that is 25 years older than my real age. So we have accelerated brain aging. That is, I have a brain that is older than my real age. But also you can have, I don't know, if you have 60, but if the age of my brain is 40 or 35, I have delayed brain aging. That is, the age of my brain is younger than my real age. So there is something that is happening, some protective factors. It could be physical activity, it could be social interactions, it could be creativity that might be producing this delayed brain aging. So you have a younger brain than your real age. That is a brain clock.
Let's talk about your study. So you looked at dancers, you looked at musicians, you looked at visual artists, even gamers. And what did you find about their brains compared to people who don't do activities on a regular basis like this?
Well, we compare experts in all these disciplines with participants with no tango formation, for example, or participants that are completely naive to video games, that is, non-experts. What we found is younger brains in the experts respect to the non-experts, around 6 or 7 years. So the experts in tango, visual arts, and also video games, all of them have brains that are around 6 years younger than, let's say, than the normal population. So creativity is protecting the brain from accelerated brain aging. So that's the main conclusion of our work, that arts can be used to promote brain health.
Surprising fact about me, I'm actually a StarCraft player, but I find dancing, the idea of doing the tango, like, it's totally unpalatable. For me, dancing is so uncomfortable. Does the specific activity, whether it's video gaming, dancing, does it matter? Like, what would constitute a creative activity for your study?
Well, first, we use a very broad definition of creativity. Usually when we think about creativity, we think of arts, only arts, something that is usually for the elite. But, well, we are all creative people. So creativity is more about using our imagination to develop new ideas for solving some problems. And this is, let's say, general to a lot of different disciplines and activities. All these activities, from tango to gaming, all of them are different. But first, you need creativity. And also, all of them protect the brain areas that are vulnerable to age. So you can imagine that the brain is some kind of network or maybe a contour with highways. So you have wires that are connecting brain areas, and some of them can break when you get older. And creativity is protecting these connections. And even if all these disciplines are different, all of them are protecting these connections that are susceptible to break as we get older. So that's the reason, because all of them are different. All of them also are protecting our brain from this accelerated brain aging.
And the amount of time is kind of striking. I mean, 7 years might not seem like a lot of time, but if you're in your 70s, if you're in your 80s, if you're a little bit older, having a younger brain at that age would be a great thing to have, wouldn't it?
No, that can really make a difference. For example, in our work, we also work with dementia, that is Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. And usually a patient with dementia, they have around 6 and 10 years of accelerated brain aging. So, and that's close to the protective effect of art. So that's one of the messages of our work. Art can be used as some kind of supportive therapy, similar to exercise, to protect people. I mean, the brain health of the people.
I haven't figured out a way to say this without sounding pretentious, but I consider like doing radio, interviewing people, what we're doing now, to be creative. Like maybe I'm an artist. I'm sure if someone's a really good StarCraft or video game player, if they called themselves an artist, people would judge them because they only think of fine art as art. But like, what are some creative activities you would recommend people do to try to, I don't know, slow their brain aging and also maybe just like enjoy their life a little bit?
Well, I would say first do whatever you want. I mean, it's your life. So one important thing is just doing the thing that we love and we like, because one of the effects of these activities are related just to stress. That is how these activities make us happier persons, how they can reduce the stress and make our lives more enjoyable, let's say more meaningful. So that's important because they are our hobbies, the things that we love, and they are part of our lives. But also, some of these activities, and we studied tango, for example, and music, but maybe we can include theater, photography. All of them involve, let's say, imagination, creativity. Some other activities, for example, are more attentional or require, for example, the use of logic. That's the case of StarCraft. I would say that the activities that are more, let's say, demanding in terms of cognition, creativity, and imagination, they may have a more protective effect. But in any case, the protection also comes for the reduction on stress and also for happiness. So maybe what I will recommend is just practice the hobbies that you love and you like. It could be pottery, it could be theater, photography. It depends because everyone is different.
And don't be intimidated by the word creative or artist. Like, I think anyone in their activity that they're passionate about that is something like pottery, even cooking, could be considered art, could be considered creative, right?
No, completely. Well, I'm for example, into coffee. I'm a coffee geek, for example. And when we talk about coffee, it's strange because you think, oh, yeah, but that shouldn't be so complex. But it's like cooking. And you need to be creative to improve your recipes, to create new combinations, new brews and mixing. So it could be everything. It could be cooking, photography, theater. So, and that's good because everyone is just different. So that's also a positive message of our work because all these activities are different, but all of them are protecting the brain. So there is no one single way to protect your brain from this accelerated brain aging. There are multiple pathways that you can use to protect your brain.
Well, if you're a coffee artist, I guess that makes me a radio artist. Back to the brain stuff that's going on. Like, what exactly would a brain that is younger, in the inside of it, what would it look like compared to a brain that is not?
Well, that's a good question. Well, at least let's talk about what we found, for example, in this work. You can imagine that the brain is let's say it's some kind of country, okay? You have the country and also you have some cities and you can connect the cities by highways, okay? So if the highways are let's say in a good condition, you can travel between different cities easily, okay? That will be a healthy brain, okay? So in the brain, traveling between cities is similar to sending information. The brain areas need to send information, let's say in the long distance, and you need to have a proper architecture, good highways to send information. That's a healthy brain. And the highways are the brain connections.
All right. Anyone listening, get creative, I guess, is the advice. Well, Carlos, I've enjoyed this conversation. Thank you for sharing your research with me.
No, thank you very much for the invitation.
Carlos Coronel is a researcher at BrainLat in Santiago, Chile, and the Trinity Institute of Neurosciences in Ireland. After the break, we'll talk about how most assume people in power with their shadowy organizations like the CIA always do a great job. But enter the awesome power of incompetence. Some of the greatest conspiracy theories that we know of that are true, things like Watergate, are because of gross incompetence and massive bungles. So that's what you'll learn about in just a few moments.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
At Sierra, discover top workout gear at incredible prices, which might lead to another discovery. Your headphones haven't been connected this whole time. Awkward. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Broadcasting from the intersection of chaos and more chaos. The last show with David Cooper.
We assume those in power, government organizations like the CIA, are always doing a great job with their secret plans. But enter the awesome power of human incompetence. And that is what we're going to discuss here with Nathan Radke, a professor of conspiracy studies at Humber Polytechnic. Check out his podcast, The Uncover Up. Nathan, I couldn't think of a better person to talk about incompetence with than myself. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, The irony is here that the better you are at incompetence, the worse you are at it.
Oh, wow. That just hurt my brain so much, and yet it kind of makes sense. The truth is, I was going to say I can't think of anyone better to talk about incompetence with than you. Midway through the sentence.
That's where I thought you were going, and then I figured you bailed out at the last second.
I bailed. It was too mean. I'm too incompetent at insulting you well. It was too mean. I should have been slightly less mean.
Well, okay, let's let's get into it, though.
Okay.
So at the heart of every conspiracy theory, there's this idea that a group of sinister people are deftly manipulating the situation to their advantage in a way that only leaves the faintest shadows of hints, of clues to their activities and motivations. And that idea is based on the claim that humans are extremely good at subterfuge and duplicity, being sneaky. So with that in mind, I think it's a kind of refreshing sometimes to spend a little time reminding ourselves that human beings, while we're clever, also can radically overestimate our abilities and our skills. And a lot of genuine conspiracies, like real, true conspiracies, get blown wide open just because people are making these ridiculous, silly mistakes.
I mean, even spies, even the orchestrators of conspiracies have long days, just want to cut corners and get home to their wife and kids. You know, like, we're all human. We're all capable of incompetence. I assume that spy agencies are too. The only agencies that shouldn't be are, I guess, space agencies. There's no room for... Yeah, you don't want to screw up a space shuttle or anything.
No, there's a pretty small margin of error there.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly as you say. We imagine skilled and diabolical geniuses pulling puppet strings, but the truth is a lot of the time those strings get tangled and knotted. And so bungling and goof-ups and incompetence and accidents play a much larger role in plots and schemes than we might imagine. And we got a bunch of examples of that.
We do. I have a friend that during COVID, he lost, down the conspiracy theory hole, and he's never gone out. And he's always saying things about what the media does and the people who work in the media. And I'm sort of like, I have a radio show and my friends do news and I know these people, and like all the things that you're attributing to malice, like incompetence can sometimes be responsible.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, a little inside baseball for the listeners. This is like the third or fourth time we've attempted to start this particular section.
That is true. I am incompetent with my introductions for this show.
But in some ways, that incompetence can help us out, because some of the real conspiracies that have gone on in the last, say, 50 years, we only know about them in part because of some of this bungling. So in a way, we've been saved by other people's bungling.
Well, what about all the ways we haven't? But let's get to some of these classic conspiracy theories that are based on real government programs. And the reason there was, what's the spy word for it? Fallout or...
Blowback?
Blowback, that's the word. The reason we all know about these programs and they were canceled and there was government inquiries and this, that, and the other is because of gross incompetence.
Yeah, let's start with one of the most sinister conspiracies, true conspiracies of all time, which is MK Ultra. One of the most top secret programs in CIA history, using drugs, using hypnosis to control people's minds against their will, like proper supervillain cartoonish stuff. And it runs for over 20 years, results in countless injuries to experiment subjects, the death of at least one of the doctors who was involved in it, who, quote-unquote, fell out of the window of a hotel. And the CIA spent years experimenting on the most vulnerable members of society, and they did that in part so that if the people tried to get their stories out, nobody would believe them. So obviously, wildly unethical, and it could have gotten a lot of very powerful people in serious trouble. I mean, the CIA isn't even mandated to be carrying out that kind of operation inside the USA. And so people started coming forward with their stories, the press started sniffing around, and the CIA was ordered by the director at the time, Richard Helms, to destroy all files that had anything to do with the project, to basically make it disappear from history.
That phrase, destroy all files associated with the project, is particularly timely right now as the Epstein files are set to be released. I'm not making any accusations, but it makes me worry that the government has a history of this.
Well, this story might make you worry a little bit less if you're interested in the truth coming out. Because this, of course, is the CIA doing this, one of the most wily, sneaky, clandestine joints on Earth. And they've been given like a mission from the top guy, from the head cheese, to destroy all files. But about 20,000 pages of paperwork get misfiled in a financial records building instead, and they don't get destroyed.
So instead of taking it to the shredder, they just take it to another building.
Exactly. It goes to a different building. I mean, this is the thing about governments. Governments are enormous and complicated and elaborate. And it's very easy in that kind of bureaucracy for something to go one direction instead of another direction. And then next thing you know, 20,000 pages of paperwork about this ultra top secret project are just sitting around in some kind of financial records office. And then those files are discovered during a Freedom of Information Act search. I mean, the Freedom of Information Act is the best. And those files contained information about Bluebird and Artichoke and MK Ultra, basically all of the funding and the purpose and the motivations behind these mind control projects. And of course, I wish that the other files hadn't been destroyed. It's very frustrating. We're missing out on probably hundreds of thousands of pages of information. But it does show you how difficult it is to pull off a massive secret project without a paper trail, and how hard it is to cover up a paper trail afterwards, which is, in a way, reassuring.
Well, let's go to Watergate now. Another operation that, could have been secret and we could have never known about it, but incompetence led us to discover it.
Yeah, so of course.
And led to a president resigning at the threat of impeachment.
Yeah, and all of that happened because of a piece of sticky tape. So Richard Nixon was paranoid AF, obviously. It's 1972, it's during election year, and some men associated with Nixon are caught doing a B&E at the Watergate Hotel, trying to get information from the Democratic National Committee headquarters, stealing files, maybe planting some bugs. And this is part of something called Operation Gemstone, which was being run by top Nixon operatives like Attorney General John Mitchell and White House counsel John Dean and raving lunatic G. Gordon Liddy. And they were also planning on sabotaging the air conditioning at the Democratic National Convention. They were up to some shenanigans. And this plan was going to impact the election and change the history of the United States. But the burglars in the hotel were supposed to place little pieces of tape over the door latches so that when the door closed, they wouldn't lock. But rather than putting it vertically along the edge of the door, the burglars put it horizontally so it wrapped around the front and back of the door. And a security guard's walking around, and he says, "Wait, why is there tape on this door?" Opens the door, takes the tape off, continues his rounds. The burglars come back, they put the tape back, they put it back horizontally again. The guard does his rounds. He's like, "That tape is back." He takes it off, calls the cops. Cops show up, they find the burglars, all their tools, the bugging equipment, the cash. And this ultimately leads Nixon to resign.
Wow.
A piece of sticky tape
can take down a presidency. This last example of a government conspiracy that we discovered because of incompetency, Iran-Contra. Walk us through that one, Nathan.
Well, very briefly, it's 1980s. Iran and America have some beef. And the American government, despite the fact that they're kind of at war with Iran, they are secretly selling weapons to Iran. And they're using that money to then fund the guerrillas in Nicaragua. And so they're doing all sorts of sketchy stuff all at once. And they're super keen on not letting any of this leak out, but stuff starts leaking out. Two of the main people involved are National Security Staff member Ollie North and his secretary Fawn Hall. And they just start frantically shredding documents at the office as the Attorney General's staff was on their way over to grab them. And they shredded so frantically, the shredder overheated, it broke down. Fawn Hall tried to stuff a bunch of the documents in her clothing, but ultimately, because of that broken shredder, a bunch of things were found out.
We got misfiling, we got tape, we got a broken shredder. Would we have never known about MK Ultra, Watergate, or Iran-Contra if it wasn't for this level of incompetence?
This incompetence certainly helped. It certainly filled in some of the missing pieces. And so, while it wasn't sufficient, it was a contributory cause of the fact that all of these giant conspiracies got blown open.
Is there a relationship between overconfidence and confidence? Something called the Dunning-Kruger effect at play here. That is what we'll discuss as we talk about the awesome power of incompetence on Conspiracy Corner with Nathan Radke up next. I'm David Cooper. This is The Last Show.
The Who's Down in Who Newville were making their list, but some didn't know Walmart has the best brands for their gifts.
What about toys? Do they have brands kids have been wanting all year?
Yep, Barbie, Tony's, and Lego. Gifts that will make them all cheer.
Do you mean they have all the brands I adore?
They have Nintendo, Nespresso, Apple, and more.
What about...
So the Who answered questions from friends till they were blue. Each one listened and shouted, from Walmart? Who knew? Shop gifts from top brands for everyone on your list in the Walmart app.
The show that asks the questions other shows are afraid to ask. The Last Show with David Cooper.
We are here with Nathan Radke, a professor of conspiracy studies. It is Conspiracy Corner. We are talking about the awesome power of incompetence, the likely reason you've heard about big, shadowy government conspiracies of days past. Somebody forgot to shred a document. Somebody left some tape on a door and it took down a presidency. Nathan, welcome back.
Thanks for having me back.
This connection between overconfidence and incompetence, do we see that at play when people are trying to do secret government programs, etc.? And can that spill over to the average person?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is a hypothesis, and you kind of hinted about this before, that claims to explain some of the overconfidence that we have in ourselves that can lead to bungling downfalls like the ones we were talking about. And it's called the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Oh, I was like, please say Dunning-Kruger, please say Dunning-Kruger, please say Dunning-Kruger. I understand the Dunning-Kruger effect perfectly.
Oh, yeah. Nobody could understand it better than you do.
Exactly.
So what could go wrong?
There actually are some misunderstandings around it, but it's basically when you're a beginner at something or you have low ability at something, you tend to overestimate your ability.
Yeah, like to understand this, to illustrate this, let's take a look at two particularly substandard, incompetent bank robbers, MacArthur Wheeler and Clifton Earl Johnson, who in 1995 tried to rob two Pittsburgh banks at gunpoint. Now, at first, it seems like a pretty standard heist. They hit the first bank just before 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they're operating like a well-oiled machine. You got one guy holding up the tower, the other guy's doing crowd control and keeping an eye out for cops. They get about, a few $1,000. They hit another nearby bank immediately afterwards, and they make a clean getaway with their ill-gotten booty. However, for some reason, 6 days later, Johnson gets arrested, and after a few months on the lam, Wheeler is arrested as well. Because their plan had been perfect, except for one tiny, insignificant little small mistake. Instead of using masks during the robberies to prevent being identified, they had rubbed lemon juice on their faces.
Genius. And why would you rub lemon juice? I mean, I know the reason, because it's an amazing way to get away with a robbery.
Yeah, of course.
But just for the layperson, why would you rub lemon juice on your face while doing a robbery thinking it would assist you?
Well, here's apparently what happened. Johnson had heard, one of the bank robbers, that lemon juice can be used to make invisible ink, which is true.
Okay.
And so came to the conclusion that therefore it could also be used to make your face invisible to security cameras.
So he hears a little tidbit about spycraft. He thinks, wow, that's really smart. Lemon juice and invisible ink. That's spycraft right there. I understand spycraft. And I'll have an invisible face? Like, what is it? Was that the link?
That's the link. And so he tells Wheeler, the other robber, about it. And Wheeler is a pretty clever guy, so he's like, wait a second, I gotta test this out before we rob a bank with it. And so he puts a bunch of lemon juice on his face and takes a Polaroid picture of himself. And then he looks at the picture and he says, well, I can't see myself at all. It clearly worked. So to his detriment, it may appear that he looks like he forgot to aim the camera at his face when he took the picture.
All right. Oh, so we're overestimating our ability at spycraft and our ability to operate a Polaroid camera here.
Yeah. So there's a lot of bungling, and this bungling is it's bungles on bungles. It's like a hat on a hat at this point. So the surveillance photos from the bank robbery clearly show Wheeler and Johnson's sticky, sour faces. So identifying them was a simple matter for the cops, and eventually it was a simple matter for the courts. And apparently when Wheeler was shown the photographs, he was baffled. He was just like, he was so confused because, as he said, but I wore the lemon juice.
That's what I want on my grave, but I wore the lemon juice.
But I wore the lemon juice. So the story comes out in the media, and there's a psychology professor named David Dunning of Dunning-Kruger who was very curious about this because it just seemed like such a dumb crime. And so Dunning wondered, quote, if Wheeler was too stupid to be a bank robber, perhaps he was also too stupid to know that he was too stupid to be a bank robber. That is, his stupidity protected him from an awareness of his own stupidity.
I think there's a kinder way to say it, which is the way I said at the beginning. When you're a beginner or have no experience at something, you tend to overestimate your ability, or you're too much of a beginner to know that you're lousy at the thing.
Yeah, and actually, I think that is a much better way of phrasing it, not only because it's a bit politer, but I think it's more accurate than this quote that I have from Dunning here. But together with his graduate student Justin Kruger of Dunning-Kruger, they developed the Dunning-Kruger effect hypothesis, which, as you say, says that people who are incompetent in any given area have two disadvantages. One, they're incompetent, so the strategies and the tactics that they use are ineffective and sometimes even counterproductive. And two, they're too incompetent to realize that those strategies and tactics are ineffective and counterproductive. So basically, they know so little about a subject that they don't even know how little they know about the subject. And then because they don't know how much there is to know, they end up with false confidence in their own abilities and knowledge.
Yeah, it's like to be a critic of something, you need to know a little bit about it. And so to be critical of your own skills, to say, hey, I'm actually suck at this, you need to like know a little bit about it. But if you know nothing about it, you might just overestimate your ability. And that's what we see. Even with people that are smart and really knowledgeable in one subject area, they can fall victim to it in another.
Oh, yeah, totally. And that leads to expert creep, where somebody's really good at one thing and thinks, well, I could probably talk with authority about all things. And you can see how this applies to failed conspiracies, because false confidence leads to mistakes and errors in judgment, a refusal to self-correct when it should become really obvious that things are going sideways on you. And because conspiring is difficult, it doesn't take many mistakes or errors to blow the lid off of a secret plan. But it's also interesting to me that this hypothesis, this Dunning-Kruger hypothesis, helps us to understand why people believe false conspiracy theories. I'll give you an example. You've heard of CERN.
Sure, the particle accelerator in Switzerland. Well, it's in a bunch of different countries because it's so big. But yeah, the physics particle accelerator.
Yeah, exactly. So I was interviewing one of my conspiracy theory contacts who was telling me about how the CERN experiment was actually going to summon demons from a parallel universe who were then going to wreak untold havoc on the Earth.
Makes sense.
Yeah, totally checks out. Now, I don't know much about CERN. I'm no particle physicist, but a friend of mine is a nuclear physicist, and she worked at CERN. So I asked her, listen, doctor, on a scale of 1 to 10, how complete is your knowledge about the experiment, about the CERN experiment? You know, you've got a doctorate in this, you've worked at the place, like you've been there for a while. And she said, I'd say about 6 out of 10.
Exactly. Like she only probably knows her one little subject area that she spent her life studying, but there's probably lots of components into CERN that would require their own life of studying. And I don't think any one physicist, whatever, could understand the whole thing. It's just too complex.
Exactly. And so then I asked my conspiracy theory contact to rate his understanding of the CERN experiment out of 10, and he said, confidently, 10.
Great. I mean, I'm with him. Yeah, demons. Hope they're nice.
Exactly. Now, he, like me, is no particle physicist. But because he didn't understand just how much there is to understand about something like a super collider, he overrated his understanding of it, and this in turn gave him an overblown sense of certainty. And it's always crucial to maintain an overall sense of philosophical humility. We should always try to admit to ourselves and other people that we could be wrong in our beliefs. We should be willing to listen to new evidence when that evidence is acceptable and relevant. And we should always realize just how much there is to know about the complexity of everything and how little we have access to. Because ultimately, humility protects us, and certainty makes us vulnerable. Although, obviously, I could be wrong about that.
Oh, you could. Overconfidence really is the downfall of humanity. Even if you're great at something, you shouldn't be overconfident. I find those that are great at things are actually quite humble. Here's a fun one. I think about 90% of drivers think that they're good drivers, like above average drivers. Think about that for a second.
Yeah, which is just a statistical impossibility.
Yes. So even if you are, that particle physicist friend of yours, she may well think that she's a great driver. And she might be, but the odds are she's an average driver. It can happen to the smartest among us. Be careful, I guess.
Which is why, as soon as it snows, the roads are littered with smashed up cars.
Nathan Radke, he's a professor of conspiracy studies at Humber Polytechnic. And check out his podcast. It is a great one. It's called The Uncover Up. Nathan, this has been a great joy. Thanks for being here.
Well, thanks for having me on.
There's a great Mr. Rogers quote about looking for the helpers. And after the break, we're going to talk to somebody who's about to head to Jamaica to help animals affected by the recent hurricane.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
I am so excited for this spa day. Candles lit, music on, hot tub warm and ready. And then my chronic hives come back. Again, in the middle of my spa day. What a wet blanket. Looks like another spell of itchy red skin. If you have chronic spontaneous urticaria, or CSU, there is a different treatment option. Hives during my next spa day? Not if I can help it. Learn more at treatmyhives.com.
turning headline news into punchline gold. 5 nights a week. The Last Show with David Cooper.
Dr. Cliff Redford is here. It is Vet Talk. It is Pet Talk. Cliff has a veterinarian degree, probably, and he's a real doctor, probably, and we are going to talk all things animals, or aminals, with Cliff.
Animals.
Welcome.
You know what? If this was, other than this being radio, if this was visual, I would show you my degree.
Yes. My dad was always like, you got your degree in a Cracker Jack box. That is a real baby boomer joke right there.
That is a real, yes. My dad used to say that stuff all the time too.
Oh, my dad. I miss him. I don't know why I miss him. He's still alive. I just haven't talked to him in a while. I should call my dad. You know what? That's not important. You know what I don't like about you, Cliff? You're like an actual good person. You go to places where people need help. And then when you're a jerk, it's justified. You know, you can be mean to people all day because you're an actual good person. You are going to Jamaica where they need a little bit of help after a kind of unexpectedly horrible hurricane.
Yeah, about 3 weeks ago, Hurricane Melissa hit the Caribbean. And as far as in Jamaica and the west, sort of the west side of the island, it got devastated. It hit Category 5, which I believe is 5 out of 6. And Melissa, from my last research, she was the most damaging, one of the top 3 damaging hurricanes in like recorded history.
Yeah. And it kind of accelerated very quickly or escalated very quickly. It jumped from category to category.
It did.
I think it made landfall worse than they thought it would be.
Yeah. And it hung around in the Montego Bay and Negril area before, I guess, heading down south. And so I'm going back. I was in Jamaica 9 years ago. It was my very first volunteer trip was to Jamaica. And so I'm going back. So I reached out to my friends at the JSPCA, the Jamaican SPCA, and said, hey, I'm ready to come down with a few team members and help out. They did the very wise thing and said, well, let's slow down a little bit. We need to take care of people who have no food, no water, no electricity, no homes, no roads, no medical care before we take care of the animals, which I get. I am on team people.
Just barely.
Just barely.
So now they're ready for like the extended help, like all the animals running around, I guess.
Yeah, there's so we're going to be heading up there. They're already starting to do some free community pet clinics. And look, farming is a huge industry there. Obviously, tourism is their number one. Farming is huge. The bee farmers got destroyed. They lost all of their hives, swarms.
What, are you going to be doing CPR on bees? Can you help with bees?
I'm not going to do much with bees, right. But I'm just saying, like, we forget about these farmers, and unfortunately now with the still standing water and the floods that are still an issue. And by the way, there's crocodiles swimming around the roads of some of the towns in Jamaica. They have American crocodiles there. There's major disease now, and unfortunately, the animals are spreading the disease to people, specifically a condition called leptospirosis, which really damages kidneys and liver and can be quite debilitating. So we're going to go down and start helping out the animals now that some of the people are getting the care that they need. We'll probably do a spay-neuter clinic, that sort of thing, but it's mostly going to be arriving into communities with a bucket load of vaccines and all the medications we can think of, pain medications, antibiotics, bandaging, whatever we got to do to help these animals out. And it will help the people, and then everybody will feel better for it. But I mean, they're going to be affected for years.
And when people's homes get messed up, destroyed, their pets, like, I don't know. I never really understood this until I owned a pet in my 30s, because I was not a pet person growing up. My parents are not pet people. The pet is the home. The cat makes the home. The dog makes the home. And so when people's pets are injured or they narrowly rescue their pets during a disaster, helping those pets is really helping those people have some sense of home.
Yeah, and I mean, there are situations, and we've talked about it on your show before, like when I was in Ukraine, people were refusing to leave Ukraine to escape the war unless they could bring their animals with them. And they weren't allowed to bring their animals with them unless their animals were taken care of and first checked out by a veterinarian. So We can help people by helping animals. Isn't that what Jerry Maguire said? Help me by helping my pets. Isn't that what he said?
I don't know. All I know is show me the money, or who's coming with me? Is that?
It was help me help you, David. That's what he said. Help me help you.
You may know better than this, but during Katrina, when they tried to evacuate into sporting theaters, when they tried to evacuate everybody, they wouldn't allow pets. And a lot of families wouldn't evacuate.
Yeah.
And they were seriously injured, harmed. They didn't leave. And I think after that, FEMA in the U.S., or they realized they need to let people evacuate with their pets.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they won't leave.
They won't leave, that's right. And
I think it just goes to show how important helping people's pets are during disaster is.
Yeah, I wouldn't leave with my dogs, without my dogs, unless I could take them with me. And you're the same way with Mr. Tomato Can there. So
we have a fire plan for the cat. We know where his carrier is, and also little PSA to cat owners: in a pinch, an empty pillowcase will do. It's breathable fabric. Throw the cat in there. The cat's not going to be happy, but at least you'll contain the animal as you escape your home during a fire.
That's a great idea. I never thought about that. You teach me a lot.
We got a plan. Building burns down. Horrible. Building burns down with Tomato, my cat. I don't even want to think about that,
Yeah. No, so looking forward to it. Is that the right... look, it's going to be tough. I've warned the two people that are coming with me who are technicians who've never done anything like this. They have no idea, and I keep explaining to them over and over again, this is going to be difficult. It's going to be emotionally draining, it's going to be physically draining, but it's also going to be incredibly rewarding and fulfilling. And so I'm looking forward to seeing my friends that I haven't seen in a long time and helping out as best I can.
And you've been to Ukraine, you've been to India, you go up to the very north, 10 or 15 kilometers north of Toronto, up to the north, up to Nunavut every year. You go to the most northerly, human settlement, pretty much.
Yeah, it's Arctic Circle.
Yeah, to help in cities up there that don't have veterinarians.
Yep.
I hate that you're such a good person. It's so annoying.
This is, you know what? When you give back, when you volunteer, you end up getting a lot back, and it's a cliche and blah blah blah. But the reality is I feel great doing it. And you started this segment off talking about how nice I am, and then when I'm a jerk, it's not so much of a big deal. It actually kind of works that way. Not that I'm a jerk. Not that I'm a jerk, but when people, I got this sweet Google review recently that compared me to
for your veterinary clinic.
Yeah, for my veterinary clinic, that compared me to Dr. Magellan.
Okay.
Is that right? Isn't he?
I don't know who Dr. Magellan is.
I think he was a Nazi war criminal.
Oh, Mengele. Oh, wow.
See, they didn't spell it right. I did.
That's ugly. That's ugly right there.
But I literally laugh at this because, not that I think that I'm like that, but if people say, oh, you're just in it for the money, I don't have to defend it. I can just think to myself, no, man, I'm going to Jamaica, and although we're going to try and raise some money, I'm doing this on my own dime, and the clinic's going to suffer. And it is great shielding for any sort of emotional damage that someone may try and throw my way.
All right, the takeaway is you help one little old lady cross the road, and for the rest of the day, you can be rude to everybody. Is that what you're saying, Cliff?
That is 100% true.
Well, I know you behind the scenes. We've hung out. We are buds. You are not a jerk. And despite what, you can't run a veterinary clinic without a bad review, because bad things happen to people's animals despite everything you try, and they are going to be mad, very mad.
It doesn't. I don't even read the reviews. The team told me about this because it was so ridiculous and hilarious. I don't read the good reviews. I don't read the bad reviews. Apparently our review rating is very good. I don't really care.
All right. Well, you can check out Dr. Cliff Redford's podcast. It's called Vet Life. I am here with Dr. I'm here with Dr. Cliff Redford. And when we come back, raccoons, everybody's favorite trash pandas, are showing signs of early domestication. Wow, are they going to be our pets in 100 years? That is the great question we'll answer here on Vet Talk or Pet Talk in a minute.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
At Blinds.com, it's not just about window treatments. It's about you, your style, your space, your way. Whether you DIY or want the pros to handle it all, you'll have the confidence of knowing it's done right. From free expert design help to our 100% satisfaction guarantee, everything we do is made to fit your life and your windows. Because at Blinds.com, the only thing we treat better than windows is you. Black Friday deals are going on all month long. Save up to 45% off site-wide plus an additional 10% off every order right now at Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions apply.
Where intellectual honesty gets witness protection from social prosecution. The Last Show with David Cooper.
All right, we go to Toronto, Canada, the world's raccoon capital. It is widely thought to be the most raccoon-infested city, and I didn't know that. I grew up in Toronto, and I just saw them everywhere, and I thought that was normal, and now I live elsewhere. And I realized there are so many raccoons in my hometown. I'm here with Dr. Cliff Redford. Check out his podcast, Vet Life. He's a veterinarian. We are going to talk about the raccoon, the humble raccoon, the trash panda, showing early signs of domestication. Cliff, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me. So I didn't know that Toronto was the raccoon capital, but, you know, I've traveled to a lot of major cities, including New York. And you're right, you don't see raccoons like you do here in Toronto.
This amount of bizarro human-raccoon interactions that you just think are normal living there, and then when you go live elsewhere, you're like, what? Like, there's not just raccoons everywhere? And when my girlfriend traveled to Toronto, she's not from there, she was shocked by the number that she saw. But the reason I know this is Planet Earth did an episode of like cities and animal-human interactions, and they did like, you know, the monkeys in India. They did like various animals in various cities, and then all of a sudden there's the raccoons in Toronto. And I'm like, why is that such a thing? Why is this noteworthy to planet Earth? And then that's where I found out it was the most raccoon-infested city in the world.
And I wonder why Toronto? I mean, the weather's nicer in New York. The weather's nicer sort of in some of the southern U.S. cities.
I do too.
We're not dirtier. Like, we don't have more garbage lying around and food lying around. Certainly not compared to New York.
No,
I'm gonna slam New York like crazy this whole segment.
No, New York has garbage in the streets. They're the rats and the cockroaches.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe the rats have, it's like the Jets and the Sharks. It's the rats and the raccoons, and the rats have won in New York, but the raccoons have won here in Toronto.
What are signs of domestication in an animal? Side note, I'm not sure cats show any of them.
Yeah, so I didn't know about this. I assumed that domestication, we domesticate animals and then we select for them to have certain traits. But this study that was done in the perfectly named magazine journal Animal, and the Animal article basically found that there's this syndrome dating all the way back to the 1800s called the domestication syndrome. Professor Darwin is the one that came up with this. And he found traits that were associated with tameness. Not necessarily domestication, but the first step towards domestication. And those are shorter snouts, smaller head, cute little floppy ears. I added that first adjective. And white patches on the fur. And they're seeing this.
You're just describing raccoons.
But it's like, so for example, they did, again, another funny grant that, okay, you got some money to do this? All right. They got a bunch of evolutionary biology students to look through 20,000 raccoon photos and noted that the raccoons that were living in large urban areas had shorter snouts by about 3.5%. So it's the raccoons that are urbanized have shorter snouts than the raccoons that are living out in the jungle. I don't know.
Yeah, or
Forest?
just woods. Yeah, woods.
Woods.
But, you know, the African wildcat, the common ancestor of the cats we have today, domesticated cats, they just hung around farms a bunch, and the ones that could kind of tolerate and get along with humans did better, and they were the ones that ended up breeding, and they kind of domesticated themselves. There's this argument, I'm sure you've heard it. Wouldn't it stand to reason that raccoons in a heavily urban environment over like a couple hundred years would do the same?
Exactly. That is exactly what's happened. But what they've seen is there's now proof of it in sort of their physical changes. So there are these things in 2014, they recognized these things called neurocrest cells, which are these collections of embryonic cells that develop during the embryonic developmental stage in all kinds of different animals. I don't know if it's humans too. It starts near the spine and then it kind of spreads out and it migrates and it forms different parts of the body, essentially, right? Maybe they're like stem cells. They have the ability to become different things. And there's always the possibility of a mutation. And there's this particular mutation that results in a decreased proliferation of these neurocrest cells. And when that happens in animals, their muzzles become shorter, their ear cartilage becomes less dense, so their ears become more floppy. They get less pigmented on their fur, but here's the kicker. They become less fearful. They have less of a fear response to normal sort of fears. So this mutation can occur out in the forest as much as it can in the urban raccoon, but the urban raccoon is less fearful, therefore gets more food from people because it goes into our garbage, therefore breeds and spreads this mutation. So it's an indication that they're becoming more tame.
And there are less predators in an urban environment, like coyotes and bears and stuff, like these animals don't hang around backyards as much. So if you get that adaptation out in the woods, you're more likely to be predated. Is that the right word? Predatorized?
Yeah.
Eaten?
Predationized? Eaten.
It's suited well for an urban environment. A fearless raccoon, maybe one might get hit by a car or one might get messed up, but generally speaking, a city is a peaceful environment. Most predators, big predators, stay away.
Yeah. I
mean, with the coyotes, less and less so, but that's probably...
and there's a lot of coyotes in the Toronto area now, too.
Coyote.
But they're going after the dogs as much as the raccoons, I'm sure. So this isn't really saying, when I look at this, I say, look, this title about raccoons are showing signs of domestication, that's not really true. It's just showing that they are adapting to the environment and they're becoming less fearful of people, and they're having these physical traits that just happen to be linked to these neurocrest cells, which also decrease fear. But to say that they're going to become domesticated, to say that they're going to start fetching toys for us and guarding our house and sleeping on our beds, I mean, present company accepted. I might have some raccoons staying with me every once in a while. It has happened, but I don't think they're going to be domesticated. They're just becoming more urbanized.
It's so funny to me how cute they are with their little opposable thumbs and their faces, and just they're so adorable. But they're aggro, like when you approach one, they hiss. Their paws and bodies are probably covered in bacteria from the garbage they rummage through. Mm-hmm. Some of them have rabies, like...
A lot of them have distemper. Some of them have a parasite called Bayless, which will kill people.
Yeah, it's just funny that they're so cute, and yet they're like pretty harmful. Also, don't they stink? They like emit an odor.
They're a little stinky. I mean, they're not too bad, but look, we live in Toronto, so we don't smell that nice either. But the big thing about them being aggro is they will attack your face. That's what they go for. They don't go for your hand if you're trying to touch them. If a dog goes up to them, they attack the eyes and the nose.
They're smart. It's just so funny how cute and approachable they look. They are so adorable. They are literally trash pandas. I mean, they're not. That's totally the wrong use of the word literally. But yeah, I just think it's so funny. They're so adorable. I love them so much. And yet if you approach them, mess with them, not a good idea at all.
I think we just figured out why they're surviving in Toronto. You've just described the perfect Canadian. We are so adorable. We are so nice and cute. But if you mess with us, we're going to bite your nose off.
We'll go for the face, and we stink a little bit.
That's right.
Speaking of which, I don't think I put on deodorant this morning, but that's a me problem, not a you problem.
I am very glad that we're doing this over the World Wide Web.
Well, Cliff, enjoy. Probably not the right word, but I hope Jamaica is a fulfilling trip and you help a lot, and I'm sure you will.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Cliff Redford, check out his podcast. It is called Vet Life. It's available wherever podcasts are sold, given freely. Cliff, goodbye from the show.
Thank you, David.
What a pleasure it was. I'm not going to rap, but that's a wrap on the night. That's a wrap on the show. And don't forget the Last Show podcast. Head to www.lastshow.pizza, our website. That's .pizza, not .com. Or search David Cooper Last Show on your favorite podcast app. Subscribe so you can catch parts of the show you loved again, get caught up on evenings you've missed, or listen to some of our bonus podcast-only content you won't hear on the radio show. I'm David Cooper, and this was, well, it wasn't the first show.
As a raider scavenging a derelict world, you settle into an underground settlement. But now you must return to the surface, where Arc machines roam. If you're brave enough, who knows what you might find? Arc Raiders, a multiplayer extraction adventure video game. Buy now for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Rated T for teen.